And like you said, some jobs will disappear completely. Over
I
92
hope
million
learning is
jobs.
not fun.
If you're in accounting, you're not safe. If you're in banking, you're not safe. 92 million jobs between 2025 and 2030 would disappear.
Huh?
92 million. However, while 92 million jobs will disappear, 170 million jobs would also be created. But the question is, where are these jobs? So we know that it takes 249 applications to get an offer, which is daunting in itself.
What else? Are you married? So, guys, meet Mr. Adeza Suleiman. Am I correct?
Absolutely.
You are too young to be the founder of 10 Analytics. Anna, what do you think?
Well,
You look
I
young.
may look young, but I'm not that young anyways. I'm in
Are
my
you not?
30s, late
Oh, okay.
30s. Yeah.
Oh, okay. So, how long have you been in the UK?
Yeah, so I lived in the UK for about 3 years. Then I left the UK and I moved to Canada to expand our operations in the North American market. So the plan and the target for us from 2024 going into the future was to set up operations in Canada and also in the US. So we are a little bit closer to our North American audience as well. So I moved to Canada last year at around January.
So you were initially in the UK and then you left to Canada just to grow your brand and your business in that part of the world as well. And now you're back to the UK. So, and then ever since you've been back, you've been here for about 3 years. I even hear that even back when you were in Nigeria, you were working for a very huge firm. As somebody living in Nigeria, you were still working for a very huge firm in this part of the world. Tell us more about that.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. So when I was in Nigeria, of course, I worked for so many organizations. My first career within the data ecosystem was with FITC, owned by the Central Bank of Nigeria and the Bankers Committee. So I worked as a data analytics consultant. And then I decided to leave and move to the energy sector. And when I moved to energy, I got a job with Sahara Power Group, the largest privately owned energy conglomerate in sub-Saharan Africa.
Hey.
So I worked with them.
What else? Are you married?
Yes, I am with 2 kids.
Hey, sorry. Sorry to your wife.
Yeah, absolutely. So I worked with Sahara Power Group as a management information system analyst, MIS analyst. And that's just a fancy way of saying a data analyst that reports directly to the owners of the company, the board of directors, and so on and so forth. So while I was still in Nigeria, with my day job working with Sahara Power Group, I worked for companies both in the UK and in the US, working with them on contracts. So I worked remotely from Nigeria. I was earning in dollars, earning in pounds, helping organizations that were willing to, move from their previous Tableau reports to Power BI reports, and they needed professionals that could help them do that. Now, of course,
what is your background? What did you do in school?
Yeah, totally unrelated to tech. My first degree was in industrial chemistry. So I studied industrial chemistry as an undergrad. And like I mentioned, my very first job out of the university was as a management consultant. So also not related to the tech ecosystem. And that's why I like to tell people, and I like to work with people that also come from a different background. You're in accounting, you can get into the tech ecosystem. You are a HR professional, a logistics professional, a nurse, like
I was about to say that.
Yeah. They can also get into the tech ecosystem because it is a skill-based ecosystem, meaning that you can learn the skills, apply the skills working on projects, you build a portfolio to showcase the things you built, and that serves as your proof of work and your proof of having done that job before. So it's easy for you to make that transition. And I'll share a couple of tips for how we've helped thousands and thousands of people to land their jobs within the tech ecosystem, moving from a totally different background into, areas in data analytics, data science, business analysis, and so on and so forth.
Wow. Honestly, and it looks like these days you guys are the ones making money the most, because with involvement of AI and all of that, it's like now you guys are really in need. And I feel like a lot of jobs in the near future are just going to be no more, because of AI and technology. So if you have a bit of knowledge in this sector, it's really going to be helpful. What do you think?
Absolutely, you're spot on. So one of the things we also do is we analyze the job market every year. Towards the end of the year, in 2024, we did our research. We analyzed the job market, scraping data from the major job boards CV Library, ring.co.uk, the government's website, ZipRecruiter, LinkedIn, to see the trajectory of where the world of work is going. All right. Then we also look at reputable organizations like the World Economic Forum. They release a report every 2 years called the Future of Jobs
I said
Report.
that you're a serious man. Okay.
The Future of Jobs report is a report that shows where the world will go in terms of the jobs that will grow and the jobs that will decline in demand. And like you said, some jobs will disappear completely. Over
I
92
hope
million
nursing is
jobs.
not part.
No, of course not. Nursing is, if you're in nursing, you're safe. If you're in accounting, you're not safe. If you're in banking, you're not safe. If you are in sales and marketing, you are really not safe as well. If you're in graphics design, you are not safe. If you are in talent sourcing and so on, HR professionals, you are not safe. You need to add some level of analytic skills to what you have. As an accountant, for example, you can be an accountant, you have experience. All you need to do is add data analytics to that, and you become a financial analyst, a commercial analyst, a financial planning and analytics professional, and so on and so forth. Now, 92 million jobs between 2025 and 2030 would disappear. 92 million, yes. And that's simply because of the advent of new technologies, like you mentioned, AI and so on. However, while 92 million jobs will disappear, 170 million jobs would also be created as a result of that. But the question is, where are these jobs? Where would they spring from? They are simply going to spring from technology-related areas, AI, machine learning, data, and so on and so forth. So if you're in data, you are home and dry. You're in a career path that you can, be rest assured that your career would stay relevant over the next 5 to 10 years and even beyond, because you have competitive skills. And so I can go on and on, as to the reason why data would be where the world is going, why it's in demand today. Is just simple logic. We generate data at an exponential rate. The amount of data we have today, 90% of the data that exists in the world today was generated in the last 5 to 6 years. Think about it. Arguably, the world has been in existence for over 300,000 years. Okay? 90% of the data that we have was generated 5 to 6 years ago. So what that simply means is organizations are looking for professionals that can either help them extract that data, store the data, make it accessible, analyze the data to make sense out of the data that they generate. And that's why they would hire professionals, people with those skills, to get into the organizations and help them do amazing stuff, essentially.
The thing is, you see, people have heard data analysts, business analysts, and like these days you hear them quite often. But
Yes.
in plain, simple words, explain to me,
Yes.
like for instance, if Coca-Cola employs
Yes.
a data analyst, what
Yes.
will I be doing? Example, like in plain, simple terms for somebody to understand.
I'll give a very simple example. So you work with Coca-Cola. Coca-Cola has so many distribution centers, and they also sell. There's nowhere on earth that they don't sell Coca-Cola. But let's take the UK, for example: Manchester, Bradford, London, and so on and so forth. Coca-Cola would want to know, where do we generate the most sales? When would people like to buy Coca-Cola? Do they buy in the morning? Do they buy in the afternoon? Do they buy in the evening? Now, what a data analyst would do, because you go to the supermarket, you go to any of the malls, you buy Coca-Cola. What happens is a transaction has happened. The time of the transaction, the amount, the location, and so on and so forth. That transaction is stored in, either you pay with your POS or whatever mechanism you use to carry out that transaction. That data is somewhere. The data analyst job is to extract that data from the database, get the data into a simple tool like Excel, and analyze. Between 1st of January 2025 to 31st of January 2025, where did we have our most sales? Was it in Bradford? Was it in London? Was it in Manchester? Was it in Leeds? And then, where did we have the least amount of sales? What happened? Why did we have the least amount of sales? If we had the least amount of sales in Leeds, why is Leeds having the least amount of sales? So these are the questions the data analyst would try to answer. What happened and why did it happen? happened. Every business wants to know what happened and why it happened. Because if I know why I had amazing sales in a specific region, I can implement the same strategies in other regions to ensure that sales spring up, and get back to track. If I know why specific locations are witnessing low amounts of sales, I can stop doing the things we are doing there to ensure that other locations don't also experience that. That's the role of the data analyst. You analyze the data, you come up and make a presentation. You tell your commercial manager, the chief commercial officer, this is what is happening in terms of sales. This is why we have great sales here. This is what we need to continue doing. In these locations, this is what we need to stop doing, and so on and so forth. Essentially, I'll say that's what you do most of the time.
Wow. Yeah. And then I think every business or every industry needs it, because even as a content creator, sometimes I'm
Yes,
like, it looks like when I post on Saturdays, it's like there's more views, or when I post videos with this. So it's like, in a way, I'm also analyzing based on previous, experiences that
absolutely.
I've had to be able to make the best out of my channel. Okay.
Absolutely.
You are the founder of Tenalytics.
Yes.
How did you come up with that? And what exactly is Tenalytics?
Okay. Tenalytics is a leading educational technology company helping Africans in Africa and Africans in the diaspora to transition into the tech ecosystem. That's our mission, and that's what we stand to help people achieve. Now, how did we come about Tenalytics? I started my career, like I mentioned earlier, no background in tech, industrial chemistry undergrad, first job in management consulting. But I knew I wanted to move from management consulting. It wasn't going to give me the money that I wanted to make and also the impact I wanted to make, leave an indelible mark eventually. So I decided to pivot. Myself and the co-founder at that time worked together at FITC. And we started to learn on our own. We did everything that people would usually do. We went to Coursera, we did Udemy. It was a hassle, very difficult, because there was nobody to show us where to start, what we need to look out for, and the things we need to learn. So we're learning everything and wasting a lot of time. All right. Eventually, 2 years after, we're able to make that transition to be, we learned the skills, Excel, Power BI, and so on and so forth. I also started working for companies in the US and in the UK, like I mentioned. And I started to realize that my career trajectory from where I started, industrial chemistry undergrad, management consulting, I had left the financial services sector and moved to energy, like I mentioned earlier. That same journey can be replicated. Anybody can also do the same. A banker can do the same. A customer service professional can do the same. And one of the things that also sparked that interest and why we decided to start in 2020 was I could hardly find Africans that looked like me working as data analysts or business intelligence analysts in the companies I worked for in the US and in the UK. So when we have meetings, I see the Indians, the Asians, and so on, the Pakistanis, and all of that. But I saw no African. I was the only African on my team. And that was when I said, hey, we need to help more people get in, make the transition. And over 4 years after, we've trained well over 40,000 people. Wow. Some of them come to us because they want promotions in the office. However, for those who want to get jobs and transitioned, last year at the end, December 2024, we had helped over 2,850 people transition from their
I'm
previous
seeing your
career path.
Instagram. I realize that you mean business. You're not joking at all.
Absolutely,
Hey,
absolutely,
wow.
absolutely.
Wow.
Yes. So that has been the mission for us.
Let me ask you a
Essentially.
question. You mentioned to earn good money, promotion.
Yes.
Give us an idea of roughly how much a data analyst will be earning, let's say, per year in, let's say, the US, just an average across board.
Yeah.
How much? Let people know exactly what we are talking about.
Absolutely. So on the average, I'll say getting into the very first level, let's say entry level, we are looking at between $85,000 to $100,000. So easy to make six figures as a data analyst. And of course, this also depends on the sector, depends on the industry, and so on and so forth. And in the UK, you're looking at well above over £40,000 on the average. And I'll tell you this, I haven't seen any of our participants, any of our alumni that got a £40,000 data analyst role. It's always been above that. Okay, so we always go above the average. 44,000. We had somebody who kind of like, I'd say he still holds the record. He was an accountant. He worked in oil and gas in Nigeria. He moved to the UK and he was particular about earning amazing salary. And I was even discouraging him that, look, do you know what it takes to make £60,000 in the UK, you need to do a lot. But he was persistent. And guess what? We prepared him for his interviews and he got a job with Cognizant in the UK, earning £60,000 per annum. And this was somebody who had no experience, an accountant coming from Nigeria, moving to the UK.
And
So
I
the
tell you
average,
that some of his colleagues from his job are here doing carer job or
yeah,
here doing warehouse jobs and all of that. Sometimes it's
absolutely.
just the information that you need that's to change
Yes,
your life forever. Honestly.
definitely.
Wow. Another thing that I've always wondered. I have a nurse friend. Her husband, right, wants to go into business analyst, data analyst, and all of that, right?
Yeah,
But we always wonder that I don't know how long your training will take. Let's say if
yes,
I come to enroll with 10 analytics, how long
yeah.
am I going to stay under you to be able to get that job? I don't know, right? And then I would like you to talk about that. If
Okay.
somebody goes to do a data analyst course as an undergrad for, let's say, 4 years, does that person not have a higher chance than me that I'm doing your course for, let's say, 3 months or what?
That's a fallacy. Okay.
Okay.
And I'll tell you the reason why. I love statistics. Okay. So I love data. We work with data. 54% of graduates
Hmm.
go ahead to do something totally unrelated to what they studied. 54%.
Hmm.
Now, why is that the case? I've also experienced the UK, education system, and I know what is obtainable. You don't learn the skills that would enable you solve real world problems when you graduate.
Oh, okay, I get
And
you.
I'll give you another statistic very quickly. Now, 54% go ahead to do something else entirely when they graduate. The remaining 46%, only 13% of them actually learn the skills that they need to do the job when they graduate. The university system typically focuses on academic research, coursework, group work, and so on and so forth. It usually would not equip you with the right skills that the dynamic world of work would need to get problems solved. So that's one of the major reasons I tell people that, look, you want to learn to become a data analyst, your best bet is to learn from somebody who's been in the industry. They've done the work, they've solved problems, they've built models, they've worked as a business analyst, they've built systems as a cybersecurity professional. Learn from people like that. If you learn from the academics, you spend a lot of pounds, thousands of pounds. It's a nice to have. I studied in the University of Bradford, I studied in Salford University, and so on. It's a nice to have, but it really doesn't equip you with the skills to come out there and get the job done. Okay, so that's on the one hand. Now, going back to your question, how long does it take typically? Now, it varies based on experience, based on your previous background, and so on. But
Okay.
typically, assuming you have no experience, no knowledge, no background, within the space of 4 to 8 months, you can easily make that transition.
Do I
So
have
our
to be good with
programs,
IT? Do I have to
not
be
at all.
okay?
Not at all. So that's why I said zero experience, zero
Okay.
knowledge. The assumption is Nanelle can only open up a computer, she can browse the internet and maybe use Microsoft Word. Just a few things. Open up a file, close the file, browse the internet. That's the level of skills you are coming with. You come into the program knowing how to use all the different technologies that enable you get into that career path. So it takes a typical program at 10 Analytics takes 6 months of learning, okay? 6 months in class. You learn with professionals, you work on projects and case studies. Now, these projects are designed from my experience. And I'll give you a typical example. I worked with Belron Group while I was in the UK in the automobile industry. I helped them solve problems. Okay. I take that experience, I change the name of the company, I change the data because of data privacy issues. And those same problems, we give them to our participants to work on. So you're not learning by listening to a presentation from a lecturer, but you're actually solving a problem that exists in the real world and that has been solved by a professional in the industry. And that's the best way to learn as an adult. Okay, you learn by doing kinesthetic learning, and that's the way adults learn. So
Hey.
6 months learning in class, and then you have 2 months of internship. There are two options. You do 6 months in class, 2 months internship, and there's another option for those who want extended internship, 6 months in class and 6 months internship. So that's typically what it takes. But
You
what
mean
we've seen
business?
happen,
I like
On
the
the
fact that you're
yes,
real because some people will
yes,
promise you a high paying job in 3 weeks and then you wonder, like,
it's
exactly
impossible.
how much are you going to, what are you
Nah,
going to learn in that 3 weeks?
3 weeks is impossible. We used to do 5 months, 5 months back in the days. And that's simply because we started to realize we extended because 90% of the people that come to us are nurses like you who are very busy. They are care workers, very busy. So we found out that they started missing class. They missed this class today. They find it difficult to catch up and so on. So with the new model, it makes it a lot easier to fit in. Even if you miss a class, there's a catch-up class. You can join during the week. You catch up with your trainer, catch up with your facilitator ahead of the next class coming up. So it's easier, it's flexible. You have enough time to assimilate and start applying and getting jobs. But on the average, we've seen that it takes about 4 months to land the first job. So you usually see that you don't have to complete the entire program to get a job. We've had people do that 2 months, 3 months before they complete the program. They're already getting offers and getting the jobs. And for those who are confident, they go ahead and take the job while they are still learning. And for some, they abandon the class completely and they go ahead to take the job. So that's what we've seen happen.
Wow. Let me ask. So for me, let's say I want to do it. I'm all the way in
Yes.
Northern Ireland. Is this
Yes.
strictly online? Because you kept saying class, class, class. Is this online
Yes.
that I can join from anywhere? And how do I join? And what am I really getting when I join?
Fantastic. So all our classes are virtual, instructor-led classes. Okay. So it doesn't matter where you are. We have students joining from the US, from Canada, the UK, Northern Ireland, like you said, Africa, Nigeria, Ghana, Kenya, South Africa, Rwanda, and so on. We had somebody join from Jamaica recently, from Egypt. So you can join classes. Your classes are virtual. You join your live classes on Saturdays. Okay, it's like depending on your location. If you're in the US, there's a class that is tailored to your time zone. Same if you're in Canada, similar regions. If you're in the UK, you are in Europe, similar time zones. You have a class that is tailored to your time zone as well.
And by the
Okay.
way, guys, I will leave a link for anybody who's interested to be able to join one of the weekly sessions. I'll leave a link in the description. And then I'm told the weekly sessions are free.
Yes, yes. So we have the free weekly sessions
Okay.
where, because the most important thing, what we've seen, the reason why people fail is they follow the hype. All right. Today, somebody says it's business analysis, they follow. Tomorrow is data analytics, they follow. So one of the first things we do is to educate people on the right career path to select. So we show you the career path to focus on because tech is very broad. But what should you focus on based on research? Based on the data, based on the in-demand career path in your region. So those are the things we share during these free sessions. And that's where you decide, okay, I want to go for data engineering or I want to go for business analysis. And then we take it up from there.
Wow. And then the amazing thing is, like, some of our brothers and sisters back home can even enroll and then still get jobs because some of these data analyst jobs, they are work from home jobs. And then you
Yes.
can get this job whilst you're back in Nigeria and you'll be earning in pounds, or you're back
Yes.
in Ghana, you'll be earning in dollars. And then that is so cool. Like, I think about it, it's like so cool. Because,
Absolutely.
yeah. So I think that is really great. So with 10 Analytics, now what I have figured out is that you're empowering people, educating people on how to go into tech. You
Yes.
mentioned business analyst, data analyst. What else do you really do for them? I heard you mention help people with interview as well.
Yes.
And then what else do you offer? Is it just these
Yes.
three?
No, not at all. I'd list all the career path and the rationale behind those career paths. But apart from that, so let's assume Nanel wants to do business analysis. You've joined our free session. You know what business analysis is all about. Then you register. You come into the program. The very first thing you need to get in place would be your technical skills. Okay, because getting the job goes beyond just the technical. It's technical plus employability. So the technical skill, we equip you with that. You learn in class. You have a virtual, instructor-led class. You join classes every Saturday, a live class where you can ask questions. You can share your screen. I'm doing this. Am I doing it right? Doing it wrong? And so on. So how does Tenalytics help you succeed? So we recognize that getting a job is in two parts, the technical and the employability aspect. So the technical part, you come to class, self-paced part of the class, where you get to log into the LMS, you watch your videos, practice, solve problems, assignments, quizzes, and so on. Then you have the live class, where you have a professional who will train you and work with you all through. You solve problems and case studies together. Then, most importantly, you must build a portfolio. So those case studies and the problems you solve would show you, help you create a portfolio where you warehouse and upload all those projects, because that'll be your proof of experience that you've done it before. For anybody getting into a technical, career path within the tech ecosystem, you must have a portfolio. Once you build that portfolio, then we help with your CV review and revamp, keyword optimization, getting past the ATS, knowing the number of jobs to apply to, tailoring your CV to job requirements. So we help you with that. Your LinkedIn optimization, having the right persona on LinkedIn, the same person on CV should be the same person on LinkedIn. We show you how to do that. Then when you get interviews, we prepare you for the interviews. And I dare say that this is what has made us so successful. So you can imagine a data analyst who has an interview, comes to me, I have an interview, can you walk me through? By looking at the job requirements alone, I can preempt the type of questions that are likely going to come out. We ask you those questions and then we guide you on the feedback and the way you respond. Typically what happens is you go back, prepare again, and we have a second session. And that increases your chances of landing that job from 50% to at least 80% and above. Once you have that, we also have the reference letters, sending references for you, because every UK employer would want to do a background check. They would want a reference from a previous employer. And that's why when you join Analytics, you don't join us as a student, you don't join us as a trainee, you join us as the contractor. So you can get a reference from us. You're going to work on projects, real life projects. And these are the projects that form your experience that you put in your portfolio, like I mentioned earlier. Once you have that, we have our networking sessions, our mentorship sessions that happens every Thursdays. So the mentorship session is where we bring in professionals, industry experts within the same industry to come speak to you, recruitment consultants from the UK, from Canada, the US, and they show you trends within those regions that you should start looking at, and so on and so forth. So if you look at all these steps, you'd realize that it's not just about shooting applications to get the job. It takes a lot more than that. And that's how we help you. And we've helped over 2,850 people to also break into the tech ecosystem and land their jobs.
Let's say I have gotten the job, or let's say I am only watching this interview now, right?
Yes.
And I have applied and I have an interview. Can I just come to Analytics just for the interview preparation, or I should have been part of the training sessions and a contractor? Like I should have been part from the very beginning, or can you just help me with the CV and just the interview? Like, do you do that?
Absolutely.
Oh, yeah.
So that's a new service we just started sometime around November, because people ask for this. Okay, oh, I'm already within the ecosystem, I'm trying to move to a new role, either vertically or horizontally. I need an expert like you to help me prepare. So we have a new service called Talent Loop. It's an extract of what we already do. So Talent Loop, we only help you with a CV. We help you with the job application. We help you apply to jobs. So we know that it takes 249 applications to get an offer, which is daunting in itself. 249 applications to get an offer. And those applications must also be quality in terms of tailoring to the job requirements and so on and so forth. So we take that hassle off you. We apply for you. We work on your CV. We optimize your LinkedIn. And then we prepare you for your interview. Okay, so that's a separate service, for those who are looking for that as well. If you want just the CV and LinkedIn, we can do that for you. If you want just the CV, LinkedIn, and application, we can do that for you. If you want just the CV, LinkedIn, application, and interview prep, we also will do that for you as well.
I'm impressed. You guys are really serious. So what would you say are the skills that are in top demand, especially with, the strict visa rules these days in this part of the world?
So like I mentioned earlier, Nanel, we do a lot of analysis to see the jobs that are high in demand. Then we also use the World Economic Forum Future of Jobs reports to validate the analysis we've carried out. So I always advise people to look globally, first of all. So which career path are in demand globally? Because you might be in the UK today, tomorrow you're somewhere else. You always want to stay relevant and competitive to land jobs. Now, what we've seen based on our analysis and also the future of jobs, the jobs that are declining, the jobs that are growing. First of all, you want to be in any career path that says data. And I'll give you a list of them. There are 8 career paths altogether, and I'll list everything. The first one is the data analyst, the data scientist role. So you're in data analytics, you're in data science, you're in a career path that is in high demand, and you'd always stay relevant. Data engineering, business analysis, HR analytics, financial analytics. All these career paths all have to do with data one way or the other. The business analyst, maybe not, on a day-to-day in terms of their responsibilities, but you still get to work with data as a business analyst. Then you have the cybersecurity professionals. These are the professionals that protect your systems, the network, and the data of organizations. And finally, the 8th one, last but not the least, is the agile project management. Okay, so not your conventional project management this time around, but the agile project management. And that's IT project management, if you will, project management within the tech ecosystem. So these are the 8 career paths I would advise for anybody. And in the UK as well, if you distill it down to the UK, and I always give this exercise when I have my free sessions, search the skilled worker visa, eligible occupations and codes. Last year in April 2024, the Home Office made a lot of changes. Like you mentioned, rightly mentioned, they scrapped the shortage occupation list. Now you have the immigration salary list. And then you have eligible occupations that will get you that skilled worker visa eventually. All these career paths all fall within the eligible occupations where you can get your skilled worker visa. In the UK, there is a shortage of
And and
talents.
and I just read, I'm even planning to make a video about it. I just
Yes,
read that they are now reducing visa restrictions for people that are coming with tech, AI, and stuff. The UK, right? This
yes,
is just latest news that I saw on the blogs like last week. Yeah. So that is
absolutely. Absolutely. They have no choice because there's a talent shortage. Between 2018 and 2023, the talent shortage increased from 18% to about 80%, over 60% increase. And that's simply because people don't apply to those jobs. And that's why I advise people like me, our Africans in the diaspora, don't just apply to one specific type of job, the warehouse jobs and all of that. Apply to these jobs. The second reason why you have the talent shortage is because people that apply don't have the skills and don't have the right experience to get those jobs. And that's why it's important for you to get those skills, get, the right skills, the right experience, working on projects, working on case studies to access those jobs. The jobs are there. I can give you, go on and on with the statistics, the number of tech jobs that grew last year. The UK government's Department of Science, Innovation and Technology clearly indicates every year on year, you have 174 to 340,000 jobs that are left unfilled within the data ecosystem. And over 50% of UK employers are looking to hire professionals within the data ecosystem. And you have jobs, last year, they are still unfilled because people don't have the skills to apply. And on the other hand, for those who have the skills, they don't have the right experience to get those jobs. And that's why we've been helping people and we exist to bridge that gap to make it easy to transition within the space.
wow. What would be your advice to somebody who has just moved to the UK, just moved to Canada, just moved to the US, and they want to go into this, they want to explore this? What
Yeah.
would be your advice for them? And how
Yeah,
can they get the best out of 10 analytics?
Yeah, so the best thing is to get started. Okay, if you are a student, don't wait until you graduate. I've seen so many people make this mistake. They come to us and say, "Oh, I'm on my post-study visa. It's expiring in 6 months. What do I do?" And they have no choice at that point. You have people who, they are the nick of the expiration of their visas before they decide to take action. Start today. 10 years ago, 2014, I decided to delve into data analytics. Here I am today. All right, 10 years would always pass. So the question is, where would you be? All right. The best thing is for you to get started. We hold free sessions every weekend, every Saturdays. Join one of those free sessions. Like Nanel mentioned, click the link, join the community, and get to know what to do. You want to go into data analytics or data science or business analysis, you can pick our brains, ask questions, and we guide you on exactly what to do. But get started today. That's the best advice I'd give.
And make money, good money. Hmm.
Absolutely.
Wow. Thank
Absolutely.
you so much, Mr. Adeza.